All the gurus say that if you're lazy, unfocused, always scrolling on your phone, you're never going to succeed. But I completely disagree. In fact, after working with 100 plus entrepreneurs, being one of these entrepreneurs myself, I realized that it's oftentimes the most unfocused entrepreneurs that are the most addiction prone. And because they're addiction prone, they actually have an unfair advantage that others can't access. So what I'm going to show you in this video today is the gamification system that will 100% get you addicted to getting focused work done and transitively making money. And this works so effectively that it's literally illegal for 99% of the population. And I've broken it down for you in 3 simple steps. First, I'm going to tell you exactly how it works so effectively that even the laziest person can get hooked. Number 2, why it's illegal and how the California government banned it out of safety concerns. And number 3, how you can literally install it within the next few hours at your own risk. But what we're actually doing in my company Compass here is we're giving you the entire gamified accountability system that we've built if you're an established entrepreneur for free. The goal of this challenge, this free 6-week focus challenge, is to help you add 30 to 50K in new revenue within 6 weeks. It's a sprint. And basically what we do is we slowly ramp up the amount of time blocks that you do until you're constantly at a level that you're satisfied with doing revenue generating activities. And we only work with people that we can guarantee we can make a return for. We have about 4 spots left for this next batch. If you're interested, I've left a link down below and you can see if you actually qualify for the challenge. Again, not everybody qualifies. If you don't qualify, no hard feelings. So number 1, how exactly does it work? Now, the thing is, if we're talking about changing behavior, which is exactly what we're doing here, there's a U for you, UK folks, there's only 2 fundamental ways that you can do this. You can either punish or you can reward. Now, the thing is, there's a problem with punishment-based systems. Yes, they're very effective. If you look at any big company like McKinsey or like big law firms, they are all punishment-based. If you submit a report and it's missing a little period or the grammar is a little off, your boss yells at you. Most systems, especially corporate systems, are punishment-based. And the thing is, punishment-based systems are reliable and they're very predictable. And I've said time and time again that punishment-based systems are the most effective form of changing behavior that exists on planet Earth. But the thing is, there's a caveat to this, and that is a reward-based system that has an instant feedback loop. Now, I'm going to explain to you what feedback loops are in a second. A lot of you guys already know. But just to give you a few more examples of punishment-based systems, let's say that, if you don't fulfill your deadline, you get shame or you lose equity to your business partner. These are all examples of punishment-based systems. And the thing is, we combine both of these for the entrepreneurs that we work with here in my company, Compass. But when you have reward-based systems, you need basically what I call the immediacy of feedback loops. Now, just to give you an example, if you have a dog, right? Let's see if I can draw a freaking dog here. There you go, right? And let's say you want this dog to sit down, right? Let's say he's sitting down. Oh my God. As soon as he sits down, you give the dog a treat, right? Now, let's say that you wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or let's say you wait a day or 2 days. You are not going to be able to train that dog to sit down every time you tell it to, because this goes against classical conditioning. And so there's a graph here that you kind of need to understand. So here you have feedback, let's just call it frequency, how many times you basically have to give feedback. And then here you have time elapsed. When it has been a longer amount of time, you need to have a more frequent or a more intense response if you want to change behavior. Again, going back to the example of the dog, at one point, so much time would have elapsed that the dog would have no idea that you were training it to sit down. Now, when we're talking about reward-based systems, if the feedback loop is instant, if it's in real time, even if the punishment-based system is completely instant, it is 1,000,000 times more effective. Now, this isn't an empirical number, obviously, this is hyperbole, but there are countless research papers in science that indicate that this is the case. I believe the effectiveness of training goes down 300%. That's why immediate feedback, positive or negative, is so important. Now, when you have a punishment-based system, everybody resorts to the bare minimum. Like when we're talking about the corporate examples, people start quietly quitting, right? Investment bankers, so on and so forth. So the only solution is that they have to keep raising the bar. Right. But that actually doesn't unlock the full potential of people. Because let's say you have all of these employees, right? And again, this is the corporate example. And let's say this one is capable of, producing 30 times the output of these two, right? In a punishment-based system, you'd basically have to keep the bar at a 2x. But in a reward-based system, this person can go at 2x, this person can go at 2x, and you can unlock the rest of the 28x that this person is capable of. And that's where reward-based systems come in. Reward-based systems actually allow you to unlock the full potential of an individual human being, especially an entrepreneur. And when we're talking about entrepreneurs that have addictive personalities, they're addicted to video games or they're addicted to scrolling, they have the personality of being obsessive. They have this one skill that 99% of the population lacks, which is obsessiveness. And that means that they inherently have very high potential. What most people perceive as a detriment, as a handicap, is actually the biggest advantage that you can have. But the thing is, you need to change the reward loop that you actually receive. Now, just one more example in regards to this, drugs. When we're talking about how people get addicted, people don't get addicted from punishment-based systems. They get addicted from reward-based systems. When somebody snorts a line of cocaine or injects heroin, excuse me for being explicit, what happens? They are immediately rewarded for doing the action. And they're rewarded so heavily and so frequently and so instantly, so immediately, that they just keep doing it over and over and over again. Now, why is this illegal? And I'm about to tell you how the California government actually banned the implementation of this concept out of safety concerns. So this actually happened in California, and there's a few caveats to this. If you search this up, you're gonna have to dig a little. But basically, in California, truckers used to literally be paid almost instantly in real time. And they were actually paid for how long they were on the road or how many miles they drove. So let's say you're in your semi-truck, right? I don't know how to draw a semi-truck, to be honest. But let's say, you got wheels here. Every mile that you drive, or let's say every inch that you drive, you get paid 1 cent, whatever it is. Now, this is more effective. Let's say every mile you drive, you get paid, $50. Now, even if I pay you $5,000 for every 100 miles that you drive, right? These are the two scenarios here. And then the previous example is $50 for every 1 mile. Which one is more effective? This one, even though the ratio is the exact same, because 50 times 100 is 5,000. But this one is more effective because it's an immediate feedback loop. It's not even really immediate. If you broke this down into inches or feet, right? If you broke this down from miles into feet, and then you broke this $50 amount down further and made it even lower, that would be more effective because, again, the feedback loop is more immediate. So in California, they used to do this in real time instantly. But the thing is, what would happen? The truckers would literally not sleep. They'd keep driving on and on and on. So the California government decided out of safety concerns that these dudes were just not sleeping. They just had no dose, which is basically a caffeine tablet. They just used to take those and they used to keep driving. They wouldn't stop because they were being rewarded in real time. So the California government said, hey, look, we're making this illegal. And now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pay the trucker for the time they're at the hotel, the time that they're resting. You're going to have to pay them for everything. You can't just pay them in real time for doing the job that they're meant to do. And this is exactly why video games are so damn addictive. In fact, if you look at almost every single multi-billion-dollar company, like Meta, or like YouTube even, right, which is owned by Google, both of these companies actually leverage what I call the addiction principle. But they just do it in a way where they can't essentially be legislatively or legally reprimanded, which is just a fancy word for punished. They can't legally be punished for the addictions that they cause because it's very hard to prove that it's actually an addiction. But again, it's the immediacy of the feedback loop with a game. Every time you kill somebody or every time you win or even every time you lose, it's how immediate the feedback loop is. And that is where the concept of gamification comes in. Gamification is basically using the addiction principle, which is what I like to call it, and applying it to whatever the hell it is that you want, right? If you want to get addicted to working, if you want to get addicted to sex or whatever you want, you can insert whatever the hell you want. You can do that as long as you gamify it with immediate feedback. Constant, live, immediate feedback, which is positive. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the secret to getting addicted. Now, how do you actually implement this? How do you turn it into a system that you can literally install in the next few hours at your own risk, obviously? The first step, and this is the only woo-woo thing I'll tell you, trust me, is an identity reframe, okay? You need to understand that what you're doing here, whether it's making money, so on and so forth, you need to view it as a game. Tony Robbins has a very popular book that's called Money Master the Game. If you look at any top multi-billionaire, they refer to business as the game because they treat it like it's a game. And that's why they're addicted to it. That's why they're workaholics. Now, if you want this, if you want to become a workaholic, I'm about to literally give you the tools to do it. But you have to view the entire paradigm of business as a game. Second thing, you need to only focus on revenue generating activities. Because the thing is, one of the most effective forms of reward is giving somebody a whole load of cash. Okay. And the thing is, a lot of entrepreneurs don't even focus on the revenue generating tasks. They just spend their whole days mentally masturbating or working on their website or landing page, but they don't launch the ads. They don't do all the stuff that's actually going to make them money. So you essentially have to cancel out literally everything except for the stuff that's revenue generating so that you can be rewarded monetarily for every single action that you take. But the thing is, again, when you do revenue generating tasks, there's still a lag between when you do it. So when you take the action and when you get the reward, there's still a limbo period. And this is why, for example, salespeople get so good so quickly, because the feedback loop is like 1 hour. It takes an hour to close a $6,000 to $8,000 sales call. And so the reward loop is a lot quicker than, for example, for a business owner where they have to launch ads and then it takes a few months for it to optimize, so on and so forth. But the way that you can actually get around this is you work in hourly time blocks. And I'll get to the live component of this. These hourly time blocks where you only force yourself to do revenue generating activities. Again, these first two, A and B, are very important as prerequisites to C. When you work in hourly time blocks every single day, it becomes a number. You can basically set a quota for 8 hours. You can beat it with 10. You can beat it with 12. And that's why, even though I don't condone this, but a lot of entrepreneurs basically flex how many hours they work. They're like, I work 16 hours a day. Now, obviously, we want to force that work to be revenue generating, high leverage work. But that's why working in hourly time blocks is so popular and it's so important, because again, it becomes a number. I did 10, I did 12 today, I did 15 today. I remember for me, I started off as the most lazy, unfocused person. I literally had such a focus problem that despite being a relatively intelligent dude, at least I'd like to say so, I couldn't get into any good college. My parents were so disappointed, and I'm brown, as you can see from my skin color. So it was devastating for me. But when I, again, reframed my identity, I just started viewing business as a game. I started doing revenue generating activities and I started working in hourly time blocks. I remember at one point, I was literally doing 13, 14 of these hourly time blocks a day. At the current moment, I'm at about 9. And I constantly move them up and down and up and down, because here's the next step. You basically turn it into a streak. Now, again, there's multiple softwares that you can use to do this, so on and so forth. But what we're actually doing in my company, Compass, here is we're giving you the entire gamified accountability system that we've built if you're an established entrepreneur for free. The goal of this challenge, this free 6-week focus challenge, is to help you add 30 to 50K in new revenue within 6 weeks. It's a sprint. And basically what we do is we slowly ramp up the amount of time blocks that you do until you're constantly at a level that you're satisfied with doing revenue generating activities. And we only work with people that we can guarantee we can make a return for. We have about 4 spots left for this next batch. If you're interested, I've left a link down below and you can see if you actually qualify for the challenge. Again, not everybody qualifies. If you don't qualify, no hard feelings. But for example, in the hub that we build for entrepreneurs, we literally have streak counters for hourly time blocks, which is what we call CABs, Compass Action Blocks, because we had to brand it. But here is basically the most important part of this system that you can install, is you literally track your execution live. And I'm going to write this out all the way through, your execution live. And this is the most important thing. Because for us, at least, what we provide is every single hour, the coach basically rewards you with a positive feedback loop. And again, this is every single hour that you work. But on top of that, they literally track your execution live so that you are being punished and rewarded in real time, just like a video game, every single time that you work. This is 24/7 on demand live accountability. Now, again, you can give this the example of a video game, but even if you talk about this in the context of sports, if you have a personal trainer that's digital and basically all they ensure you do is show up at the gym, it's not going to be as effective as a personal trainer that's literally live right there with you, rewarding you and punishing you at every single instance of your workout, whether you're, not giving it your all in a particular set, whatever it is. The live experience is what actually ensures that you give it your all, not just show up. Now, yeah, showing up is half the battle, but actually giving it your all on the field is the other 50%. And that's why for us, we provide this as a service 24/7 for the entrepreneurs that we work with. Now, you can absolutely do this with somebody like your brother, but I'll tell you one thing, right? Accountability has 2 prerequisites, right? It can't be AI. It can't be your brother. It essentially has to be professional, and it has to be external. And that's the thing, right? When you have something like AI keeping you accountable, it's not necessarily external because you're the one that sets AI up. You are the enforcement mechanism for the consequence. You are essentially going to have to punish yourself. AI is not going to come to you with a bat. And nobody's ashamed because AI is disappointed in them. We know it's just a large language model. So again, these two prerequisites are very important for professional, external, for proper gamification. The accountability needs to be professional, external, and obviously everything that we mentioned before. It has to be constant, live, immediate feedback that is positive. All of these things need to be fulfilled. But on top of that, you need professionalism and you need some sort of externality. If it's internal, then it's motivation, and we know how unreliable that is. Now, this can work with somebody like your business partner. Usually, if you have somebody like a coworker, it doesn't work as well. It has to be kind of, and if you're friends with your business partner, with parent, which apparently a lot of people are. I didn't know that was very common. People just pick whatever friend they have and give them 50% of their company. But if you're friends with your business partner, again, the professionalism aspect, you lose it. And the last tip that I'll give you, and this is very controversial, this is kind of a joke too, is nicotine. If you wear a nicotine patch while you work and don't wear it while you don't work, you get instant, immediate, positive feedback. I'm just joking. All right, calm down. I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.